Recorded. Hi, welcome everyone. This is Alan Kennedy of TTM Coaching. I help accountants and solicitors expand their business. And today I'm just having a chat with Caroline Aistrop, who's a specialist in PR and helping businesses pursue a green agenda in such a way that it makes their business profitable, helps make the planet sustainable and also their business sustainable. I've had several long conversations with Caroline. She's a fascinating person, and I just thought I would share some of that fascination with you today. So, Caroline, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me along. It's great to be chatting to you today.
Okay, lovely. Right, let's dive straight in with a difficult question. I'm a cynical businessman, and it's cheaper for me to drive down to London than it is to go on a train. Why should I go on a train to London?
That's a good question that you started with, and a really good example of the situation that we have day to day, because sustainability is tricky to make the decisions about what is the right thing to do, because it is about looking at the day to day, but also the longer term as well. So whilst most business decisions involve really just very short term assessments, sustainability has to include the wider, longer term, centuries, thousands of years into the future, which can make it tricky for businesses to make a decision. But on the day-to-day basis, I'd say a lot of it can actually help businesses to save money, because it's about using less energy, fewer resources. That can shave money off your actual bills and your expenditure each quarter. So, for example, if you replace your light bulbs with the low energy light bulbs, the LED light bulbs, they will cut energy use by 80% straight away. So that is cutting your energy bill. And of course, with the way the price of energy is going at the moment, that's a really, really good thing to do. So it's like using less resources. There's also a lot of consumer pressure as well. A lot of consumers they're actively buying from companies they can see being greener. And also big businesses are pushing sustainability down the supply chain and only want to do business with businesses that are being greener themselves. But in the wider scale of things, globally and in the longer term, we're now really beginning to see the impact of the environmental degradation. So, for example, natural disasters have increased tenfold since the 1960s. And just in the first half of 2021, it's estimated that $40 billion of global insured losses had to be paid out from natural catastrophes. And if you compare that to the previous 10-year average, which was $33 billion, you can see we're really beginning to rack up the cost of not being sustainable.
So unless we as a country get the green agenda under control, our insurance premiums will go through the roof. It can save us money because it can cut our energy bills, and we can do that. And in addition to that, we're going on to talk about customers with green credentials. There is an increasing demand from people to say that you've got a green sustainability policy in place. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Most local authorities now have declared net zero, which means that they're going to work towards ensuring that they don't put out any more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere than they actually absorb from the atmosphere. And with that comes a lot of sustainability purchasing policies. So they will only be looking to buy from companies that are being greener. And in fact, the government's announced that shortly, I think it's 2024, any company that bids for a contract with the national government that's worth more than £5 million will actually have to have an active sustainability policy. So it's not just enough to create policy, put it on a bit of paper, put it on your website and go, right, okay, there we are, there's our policy, but not do it. Yes. You actually have to be creating your policy and putting it into practice now as well.
Right. So it's not like GDPR where we all introduce these privacy policies and then no one encrypted their laptops.
No, that's right.
You're actually going to have to do it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, there's various legislation now around it. So, there's already legislation around the fact that big companies have got to annually report the greenhouse gas emission and also their energy usage.
Yeah.
And there's a whole raft of what are called ESG monitoring and reporting processes. Now, ESG stands for Environment, Social and Governance.
Yeah.
And this is analysing and monitoring how companies are, what they're doing to be more responsible, not just to the planet, but to their local communities and their staff, how they treat their staff, but also how they govern themselves as well. Now, at the moment, most of these are voluntary.
Yeah.
But Rishi Sunak has already indicated that with one of them, the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, which is a G20 initiative. It's something they've created. Rishi Sunak has already indicated that he wants to bring that in and make it compulsory. So I think, and there's also talk about carbon taxes coming in. So we're just looking at the future. I think it's the writing's on the wall that it is going to start becoming compulsory.
So within the next 5 to 10 years, even small businesses are likely to need a green sustainability policy in place. But quite apart from that, there are a lot of people around who want to know that you and I are sustainable, even though we're all small businesses. So we're actually pursuing the green agenda properly in a way that puts it into place. And we've been talking about people I know who openly promote the green agenda and practice what they preach, and they will only buy from other people like that, and that is a huge market, isn't it? Is that a fair description?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over the past 10 years or so, there have been loads of surveys being done about looking at consumer preferences. And obviously, as my job is promoting sustainability, helping companies to get their sustainability stories and credentials out to their target customers, I've been keeping a monitor on all this. So, for example, we've got results like, 74% of consumers say they are actively choosing to buy from companies that they know and can trust to being greener.
Yes.
That's a massive amount of money. 43% of small and medium-sized enterprises say they've been asked about their sustainability practices by bigger companies higher up the supply chain. 64% of consumers say that they think more positively about a company if they see it's reducing its carbon dioxide emissions. 54% of people in the United Kingdom believe that companies have responsibility to the society that they act in, where they're trading. So the results are there. There's more and more now pressure from consumers to say to companies, we want you to be greener. We want to actually what's called purchase with intent. So they want their purchasing money to actually be doing something good, to be making a difference. And so if companies are not showing how they can do that, then they're going to be losing potential customers to their competitors who are.
Okay, lovely. So, so let's imagine I introduce, I think I ought to stop and say just, well, if anyone's listening to this, in particular, the Information Commissioner is listening to this, my laptop is encrypted. I have fully embraced GDPR. And I do apologize for causing you, Mr. Information Commissioner, to have a bit of a heart attack. So, okay, so let's go back to the agenda of green sustainability policy. If I embrace green sustainability policy, and actually I do have a source of free LED light bulbs of people who believe in this policy, then your job is to help people tell the world in order to get them more custom, isn't it, basically? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Tell me how you do that and what you do and how you do it.
Yeah. Well, basically, I help the company to look at and really unearth all the stories that they've got to tell about how they're being greener. And at one time it was thought that it was companies that only offer green products and services that need to talk about their sustainability. But it's all sorts of companies, even if their mainstream activity isn't seemingly green, they're actually internally greening themselves from the inside out, which is fantastic because it's what everybody can do. You don't have to be greener than green, and everybody accepts that you can't be perfectly green in our society. I'm not perfectly green, and I've worked in sustainability for over 35 years.
Yes.
But, we just can't be. So it's a really good way of looking at taking a deep dive and getting all their stories out, and then looking at how they can craft those in a way that inspires their target customers. And also their staff, because surveys show that a third of workers want their companies to be doing more to tackle climate change, and 3/4 of workers would rather work for a company that shared their personal values than actually have a high salary. So you've got to remember your internal communications as well. You motivate your workforce by getting your story out there in the right way. And certainly a lot of people are looking to work for a company that matches their ethics, particularly millennials and Gen Z. So if you want to make yourself a magnet for job seekers, then you need to get your stories out there. So, I mean, for example, I recently worked with a Cornish company that sells fish and chips.
Yeah.
3 fish and chip outlets in Falmouth, Penzance, and Helston. And they were one of the first companies in the UK to get Marine Stewardship Council certification to show that they are selling sustainably, responsibly caught fish and seafood. And they've been doing loads of other stuff. They've been really reducing the energy use. They've been reducing their waste. They bought 2 electric vehicles to do their deliveries of fish and chips in.
Yeah.
You know, they came to me, they went, "Oh, do you think we've got much to talk about?" I went, "Oh, what? Are you joking?"
Yes.
Oh, good grief. But because it was so fixed on, obviously, in just day-to-day running the company, they didn't see the wider picture. So I worked with them to really unearth the stories. And we had by the end of it, we had a massive long list, because I said, well, you can actually talk about the wider environmental issues as well. You can talk about the actual species that you catch, you know, their life cycle.
Yeah.
You can talk about the farmer, because they use local farmers to supply the potatoes for the chips. You know, so talk about them, what it's like for them.
Yeah.
And the fishmongers, the fishermen, you know, they've got a whole raft there. And of course, we've got a lot of national days during the year. Now, I know national days can be seen as a bit of a joke by a lot of people, you know, and some of them can be a bit silly, you know, like National Cream Tea Day.
Yeah,
really.
Okay. No, I like National Cream Tea Day. It's very important, and particularly that the jam and the cream go on the right order. So
That's right. But you know, those national days give a great hook to journalists to actually cover a subject.
Yes.
You know, so if you got your stories out and we look at them in the right way, then we can also then look at how they get the stories out there. You know, how they talk about them on social media, see what opportunities for press releases there are. Look at how they can help their customers to become greener as well. You know, other information sheets that they can produce and give out to customers. But the other key thing that's now important as well is from the 1st of January, something called the Green Claims Code comes into effect. And this has been put together by the Competition and Markets Authority. And it is an umbrella for 2 bits of legislation that have existed since 2008, which actually makes greenwashing illegal. So
Oh gosh.
the CMA is going to really crack down on this from the 1st of January, because we've all known about, you know, we've all seen companies that are sort of making these green claims, which actually aren't really.
Yes.
But they're going to really crack down on it now. So I can work with customers to make sure that we tell their story in the right way, that not only appeals to their customers, but means they don't fall foul of the Green Claims Code as well.
Okay, that's lovely. So going back to our fish and chip shop, I mean, just on a generic level, any publicity in that sort of way is likely to be good publicity, because people get to hear of them and know their shops and all that sort of thing. But in addition, I'm guessing that that it will then attract more customers to them because they believe in their philosophy. Is that generally correct? I mean, I don't want you to speak.
Absolutely. Okay. And particularly with younger people as well. Though, you know, surveys show that it's across the board with all the age groups. It's not just younger people that want to be greener, but millennials and Gen Z are particularly hot on buying from companies that match their own personal values. So the more you get the story out there and tell it in the right way, then the more you're going to attract people to come to you.
Okay, lovely. That's brilliant. So if you're listening to this and you want to pursue the customer base which supports the green agenda, you have to do it in a way that's ethically, because otherwise you'll fall foul of the green code, should we call it. But the reward for that is there are a lot of people out there who want to buy from companies who believe in a green, sustainable policy. And it's this first step into building the know, like, and trust that is that is extremely necessary to get people to become customers of yours, basically. Okay. On that note, as I say, I've known Caroline a long time, and she walks a talk. She has an amazing knowledge of green and sustainable policies. And so not only has she helped me to understand the market, but she's also helped me to formulate a policy in terms of green policies. So if you want her to do the same for you, she is brilliant. Okay, thank you for being with us today. That's all from us now, folks.